Hey, this is Nick Millivoy.
And this is Jason Shadrick.
And this is the 100 Guitarist podcast, where we're taking a look at the 100 guitar players we think you should know. Today, we have a special guest here who has lots of stories to talk about. We're talking with guitarist Mike Scott.
Yes.
About none other than Prince. Yeah.
Prince.
Mike has a lot of really, really great firsthand stories. If you like this podcast or you just like Prince, you're gonna like these stories. But before we get there,
all I'm gonna say is this.
That's right.
That's right. You know what that means.
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout. I wasn't kidding when I said in the podcast.
You're gonna see that pop up in our podcast from now on.
That's right. That's right. So today we have Mike Scott. We're gonna be talking about Prince, but first, you need to get at us. Tell us your favorite Prince story, your favorite Prince record, your favorite Prince guitar solo. Drop us a line at 100guitarists@premierguitar.com or drop us a text or voicemail at 319-423-9734. Hit us up. We'll listen to it. We find some good ones. We'll put them on the next show.
That's right. And did you know that Prince used the EMG 85 and SA pickups in his cloud guitars, which were his preferred live guitars?
Incredible. That's because EMG is sponsoring today's episode.
That's right.
EMG pickups have been made in California since 1976, when Rob Turner invented active pickup technology. The active pickups offer low noise benefits consistent across any stage or in the studio.
EMG pickups have been used by artists such as Metallica, David Gilmour, Steve Lukather, Living Colour, Judas Priest, Zakk Wylde, Slayer, Les Claypool, and Prince, and of course, many others. EMG's solderless wiring kit comes with any new pickup. That makes it easy to install yourself. They also offer great customer support for all their products, so head over to emgpickups.com for more information. And while you're there, when you place your order, don't forget to use code EMG100 for 15% off at checkout. All right, so now we're going to bring Mike on, and we're going to talk about Prince, and we hope you all enjoy it.
All right, Mike, man, great to have you. I've been kind of circling your career for years and seeing you at NAMM shows, and it's finally great to sit down and connect with you and talk.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jason and Nick. I appreciate you guys having me on. Happy to be here.
So today's topic du jour is, of course, Prince, who you have a long history with. But take us back to young Mike Scott developing. Tell us a little bit about your background and where you kind of grew up.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. Started playing guitar around age 11 or so. And that was due to the influence of a babysitter my sister and I went to. Her boyfriend played guitar in a neighborhood band. And as him and I became friends, and I saw him playing in the park one day with his band, and he was doing this amazing thing with this whatever, and it blew my mind. So that's what led me to the destiny that I chose. Anyway, so I started playing guitar around that age. Went to Bill. I can't remember that guy's name. I went to a school in D.C. that taught guitar, so I learned some rudimentary, basic guitar, and then I started teaching myself, and then ended up going to Duke Ellington School of Arts in D.C. for high school, and that expanded my theory knowledge a little, and then started just pursuing a live career, playing gigs. But I had a job after high school at a bank, and I guess it was a blessing in disguise. Their van got stolen one Saturday. I was supposed to deliver the mail to the post office and bring the van back. I took the van to a gig that night, and it got stolen, along with my Stratocaster and a couple of other things. And so when I returned the job on Monday, of course, they had to let me go. And it pushed me into my music career full time. I started playing with a group, Juicy, back in the 80s, and they had a #1 hit out. We toured the country, did a little stint with Peaches and Herb, in Vegas in the 80s during their reunited heyday. And so anyway, that led up to playing with a bunch of bands. And I guess when I reached my 30s or so, a group called Radiant, that was a very popular band in the DC area. They were like huge, but they were doing the Marriott circuit, and they had a contract to do a bunch of Marriotts around the country. And the first one was Minneapolis. So we went to Minneapolis. That lasted a couple of months, and the band eventually fell apart, and they all decided to come back to DC. And I'm like, back to DC? Prince is here, Jam and Lewis is here, Mint Condition is here. You know, why would what are you going back to DC for? So I camped out, stayed in Minneapolis. You know, didn't have any gigs. Working with whoever would hire me. And there was a guitarist in Minneapolis you may know of, Dave Berry.
Mm.
He was with Janet Jackson and Cher at the
Okay.
time. Dave was the top of the food chain in guitar world. He rolled out with Janet, and every gig he did, which was damn near every gig in town, started auditioning guitar players. And one of the main gigs he had was the Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge gig in Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah.
The only other bigger band in Minneapolis possibly was Dr. Mambo's Combo,
At
which
Bunkers.
a bunch of yeah. So Mick played at Bunkers on Thursdays or Fridays, and I mean there's a line around the block. So I auditioned for that gig, new kid in Minneapolis. I got that gig, but even before then, I would just go to places and sit in. Like I even went to the band that came to from DC. The guys that lived in Minneapolis took us to see the Combo the first time, and they completely peeled our faces off with all that funk. You know, Michael Bland, Sonny T, all these cats, these great players were in the Combo, and they were the funkiest band on. You know, they were literally breathing fire on stage. So I asked the guys I was with, I was like, man, I want to sit in. They were like, man, they don't let nobody sit in with them. As soon as they took a break, I went straight to Michael Bland, who was Prince's drummer at the time, and I said, "Dude, I love y'all. Yeah, I want to sit in." And Michael was like, "Hey, brother, if you feel confident enough, come on up." And I ended up sitting in with them for about 3 songs. But I knew everywhere I went, any club, I would ask the band could I sit in. So I ended up playing with the Steels, this really popular reggae band, ipso facto. They were like Godzilla in Minneapolis in the 90s. They were that big. And then, so I was with the Steels, I was with Ipso, I was doing anybody. So getting with the Stud Brothers really helped a lot to solidify my credibility as not only just a new kid in town, but, I was snatching gigs from people. So not to my own horn. It was all by the grace of God that this all happened. Anyway, so when I started playing with the Steels, their younger brother, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Steels. They work with Prince on quite a few albums.
Okay.
They were the singers. It's a five family members, and they used to do a lot of background with Prince. I think they did all that Diamond and Pearl stuff, and
Okay.
they were on that segment of NPG. Anyway, so I started working with them, and their youngest brother was with the Sounds of Blackness, who was being produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So he got me into the Sounds. They needed a guitar player, and that led to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis hearing me, and they needed some session work at Flight Time Studios. So that opened up a whole door. I did 1 or 2 sessions and ended up being the house session guy at Flight Time. So all these doors opening in Minneapolis. I'm playing with every band you could think of in Minneapolis, and I'm doing this session. I would finish my gigs and go do sessions at Flight Time. All that. I mean, Jam and Lewis were doing Mariah Carey, Lionel Richie, Beyonce, Destiny's Child. They were doing Boyz II Men. They were doing everything that was hot. I swear, man, you turn on the radio and I'd be playing on 10 songs that played while we went for a 20-minute ride.
Dude,
so
and
I didn't brag about it or anything. It's just I was just riding the wave.
You're
it was
working.
just a really well-timed move to go to Minneapolis at the time that I did. And by the grace of God, all these doors opened. And so, started doing sessions with Jam and Lewis, playing with the Sounds of Blackness, playing with TC Jammers, Combo, whoever, the Steels, Ipso Facto, Mick Sterling, Stud Brothers. And one night I had a gig. Oh, and Kirk Johnson, who's the drummer with NPG. We also had a band called the Kaj Orchestra. And Last Chance. We had a few different bands. Kirk was Prince's drummer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
After he let the first segment of NPG go, he had a new band that consisted of Rhonda Smith, Cat Dyson, Kirk Johnson, and Morris Hayes. Cat Dyson was holding down the guitar duties, and Kirk called me one evening and said, "Man, you want to come out and jam with the man, you know?" And I had a gig that evening at Bunkers with some band, with the TC Jammers, which Juddy Bean was playing. Juddy Bean, the drummer with the time, he was also playing guitar in that band.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was about 6:30, almost 7. Gig starts at 9. I was like, "Oh, Kirk, I can't make it tonight. I got a gig. You know, I got a little $7,500 gig." And I said, "What about tomorrow?" And Kirk was like, "Man, this is a once in a lifetime thing. It's tonight or nothing." I was like, "Oh man, I can't." You know, trying to be true to,
Yeah.
you can't call.
You can't get the reputation of bailing on gigs.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to get a reputation of bailing on gigs. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm loading my shit in the car. I'm in my stuff in the car, and I'm like, "What the hell, man? So I called the drummer and said, "Man, I can't make it tonight." And he was mad. He was hot as cayenne pepper. And he hung up the phone on me. And who am I going to get at this time? I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't make it." I went to Paisley, sat in with the band, Cat, Rhonda, Kirk, Morris, Prince. We're jamming, and, he just kept asking me to solo on stuff. And he was just grooving. You could tell he was grooving. He wasn't playing. Just me and Cat were playing. And next day, they invited me back to rehearsal again. Then we rehearsed again on Friday. And then Saturday, we were on a plane going to do Good Morning America. I know you both have seen the episode where Prince was dressed as Bryant Gumbel.
Yes. Yeah.
And he had his hair and everything, and it was Brian's farewell. That was my first Prince gig.
Oh, man.
We were standing in line, getting ready to go on. He never said I was in the band. I was just hanging on by my fingernails, just, if you could imagine getting on a jet and you didn't get inside the door, you're just hanging on to the outside by your fingernails.
Yeah.
That's how fast that took off. So we did that Brian Gumbel thing, but I didn't have any wardrobe to match the custom-made clothes they were wearing. So as we're standing there, getting ready to walk out, there was a coat hanging on the coat rack.
You mean standing at Good Morning America, getting ready to walk out to play?
We were just about to walk out.
Okay.
And I had on whatever I had. I had some church shirt and, some slacks. And Prince said, "Mike, put that coat on right there." And it was just somebody's long 3/4 length black felt coat, whatever. I put that coat on, and he told the wardrobe, he said, "Go get Mike a hat." So she came back with a Godfather hat, and I put the hat on and the coat, and he said, "Mike looks like a Baptist church reverend." All of a sudden, the band's laughing, and I'm Reverend Scott.
Oh.
So from that gig on, he kept calling me Reverend Scott. And then as I began to get the custom-made clothes like the rest of them, he had me wearing choir robes with a matching hat, with the matching shoes.
He was just having fun. He was having fun. And I was
completely Reverend Scott. So guess what? The next gig after we did Good Morning America, the next gig was in, hometown, DC. First gig was with, and I was on cloud 9 to roll through town at Constitution Hall with Prince, and I was on cloud 9. So, funny story. So after that gig, me and Prince on a tour bus, and I said to him, I said, "Sir, we never discussed business or anything. We didn't. He never said you're in the welcome to the band. It didn't happen like that. It's like you walking down the street and pick up some stray puppy, and all of a sudden he's got a home and a bed, and You know, you never said, "Hey, welcome to my family." You know,
Yeah.
you just took him home. So I said, "Sir, we never discussed business." And he told the bodyguard, he said, "Write Mike a check." So the guy gave me the check, and I looked at it, and I'm sitting on the couch on Prince's tour bus, and I said, "Am I supposed to pay the rest of the band with this?" And he laughed. He fell over backwards. I was serious as a heart attack. Had never made that much money in my career. And I said, "Am I supposed to pay you want me to cash this and pay the rest of the band?" And he laughed and told the boy, he said, "He just asked me, am I supposed to pay the rest of the band with that?" And he thought that was the funniest thing ever. And all of a sudden, I guess from there on, it was a roller coaster ride. It's like the roller coaster was at the top and it took off over you've all been on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
After that first gig in DC, the roller coaster took off.
All right. Couple questions, Mike, from that great story. One, does that drummer you canceled on, you still talk to him?
That's funny. Funny you asked that. I saw him last year at a
Who was it? Let's give him a shout out, Mike. Let's give him a shout out for letting you out of that gig.
Vandale.
Okay.
Bobby didn't speak to me for quite a few years.
Okay.
And I saw him last year. We had nothing but love for each other, but I hadn't seen him since '96. And I just saw him last year for the first time. We broke bread. Everything's cool. He looked great. He's still playing.
He forgave you for
he finally forgave. He finally forgave. But I remember speaking to somebody years ago, and they were like, "I'm sitting next to Bobby Vandale," and I was like, "Pass him the phone." And they're like, "He said he don't want to talk to you." So that was years ago. But me and Bobby are cool now. Yeah.
So
I guess he had to get it. He had to understand.
In those early rehearsals, obviously it sounded like that first week was kind of like an audition. We're not only want to see you come in and play and make sure you can hang, but we want to make sure we can hang with you just on a non-musical level, right?
If we tell you to wear the jacket, you're going to wear the jacket.
Exactly. I didn't know what the rules were. Nobody told me. Kirk and Morris, like when I asked them, every time I would get reprimanded by Prince for something, whatever it was, I was like, they're like, "Man, you got to figure it out," just like we had to figure it out. So I got fired a couple times. I ain't gonna lie, but it was just a lot. It was a learning. There were several hot seats working for Prince. One, as you guys can imagine, would be the monitor guy. Was always catching hell. Front house guy might as well have on a bulletproof vest and some other bulletproof gear because he's gonna get torn up. Unless no matter how good they were, you had to have a lot of patience and just have a very even tempered, because Prince will. And the third hot seat, another guitarist.
Yeah.
Because he would always say to me sometimes, "Mike Scott, I play guitar." Yeah, I know. But one of his, he used to ride me, man. But the sound engineer that was in the band in '96 when I got in, Hans Buff, amazing engineer. He would work 24 hours a day in the studio. Whenever I would be recording, Hans told me later, he said, "Man, Prince be riding you, man, but he's in the studio going, oh my God, that dude, that Mike Scott, oh, listen to that. That dude is so funky, man. Listen to that guy." But then he'd come out and be like, "Okay, that was terrible. Do it again." But, do it again. But Hans said he would be losing his mind over everything I played. And I was really happy to hear that because I thought I was just doing a terrible job.
And I got to imagine everybody that's kind of passed through Prince's orbit as a musician has a version of that.
Well, you know what the thing was, Jason? Prince had a way of, you came in, of course you didn't, egos were not, he didn't have egos in his camp. So you came in a great musician, but he would tear you down and make you an even better musician.
Mm.
So he would make you better than you ever even realized you could be. Like I said, if you already came in with an ego, Prince didn't even want you. But if you came in great, he would pull out the greatness that you didn't realize you were even capable of. Mm. So he'd use a method, though, by stripping you down. Mm. He would tell you that you were terrible and that you you know, oh man, you could do better. And he never told me I was terrible, but
Right.
he would always ride me about things, and it just made me a better guitarist.
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to find the band a lot. If you make a mistake, you get this on stage, and that just meant you got fined $1,000 or so. He fined me one time, and after the show, I said, "What you find me for?" He said, "Yo, you made a mistake on something." I said, "You'll never find me again, ever." And I made sure before every show, I ran over every song, I ran over every part to make sure I had a flawless performance each night. And as my wife will tell you, I'm so anal about that now. I don't care if I have a gig at Dairy Queen. I'm gonna sit there and rehearse it all night and make sure it's absolutely perfect when I get there.
So these were real finds. He wasn't just doing that.
No, that was, if you saw, the audience didn't know.
Yeah.
Unless we told you. Like I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
If you saw Prince do that on stage and he looked at you and go, "You just got fined $1,000."
He'd remember afterwards. He was keeping track.
No, they would come to you and say, "The boss told me to get $1,000 from you," and you'd have to fork it up right there.
Okay.
Whoa.
Man. I mean, that's a holdover from the James Brown era, right? I mean, that's the thing everybody heard James Brown did with his band too.
I remember the John Blackwell, God rest his soul. John told me he got him for $10,000 one night.
Oh,
one night.
It's an expensive gig.
That's right.
Yeah. Think about it, okay? Because you're both musicians, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That in guitar world, we can cover a mistake. Matter of fact, Prince even gave me some great advice. He said, if you play a wrong note, do it twice.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't a mistake. Play the wrong note. If we're in E and you play an F, play it again. And then you meant to do it. But if the drummer or the bass player, it's a little more obvious when they do things.
Yeah.
And then they have a much bigger impact. So whatever he find John $10,000 for, it had to be huge.
Yeah. So from a guitar perspective, think back to those early days rehearsing and then going on the road with him. What were kind of the immediate guitar lessons you could say that you were picking up just being in his presence and playing guitar with him after hearing his music and then now being in his band?
Man, the list is endless. The first thing I ever remember him correcting me on, and I ain't gonna say the first, but one of the most important tips he gave me that I still carry in my career even years later. I came in when we were at Ellington, we were listening to Holsworth. We were listening to fusion. We were listening to a lot of jazz fusion.
Yeah.
Scott Henderson, Mike Stern. We were listening to fusion. And so when I came, I combined that with my own style, and it gave my lead chops. I had a lot of jazz fusion in my playing. So Prince told me once, he said, "Man, all those notes you're playing, it doesn't translate in these arenas." And he's like, I'll kick your butt just holding one long high note." And so I started watching him more and noticing that he'd do that thing where he'd howl a high note and cover his face, and the audience would go berserk. And I was all just, I was doing all these fancy jazz fusion million note solos. And he was like, "It's not translating. It's not reading." So one of the biggest things I learned from him in taking a solo is to tell a story. Start off like a beginning, a middle, and at the end, you try to peel everybody's face off. But there's no need in coming out of the box. And I try to tell that to a lot of young players I know that have these amazing chops. Tell a story. Because Prince used to say, "You talking loud, but you ain't saying nothing. You playing all those notes and it's all amazing, but you're not saying anything." So try to tell a story in your solos with just tell, like you're sitting here, like I'm telling you a story. I didn't come in like, "Oh, wait a minute, tell you about this time when I was Prince was with him, we were doing something in them." I didn't come in like that.
Right.
I'm telling you a story that leads up to a punchline or something, And solos, he taught me from watching him and from him saying that one time, all those notes don't translate in a big arena like that. So that was one of a very important cue he gave me. He taught me about playing clean. And I add, how a lot of guitar players have a 30-second note part, skin it, then it, and they're doing all that. They're doing all that scratch in between.
Yeah.
He was like, don't do all that scratching, because with a drummer, it's just a lot of clutter.
Yeah.
Play the part. Like if you're playing a James Brown part, I wish I had a guitar. If you're playing a part, just cut all that extra, because a lot of guitar players like to keep rhythm when they're playing with by doing the extra scratching.
Yeah.
And he really got me to understand all that's not necessary when you already have a drummer and 8 other people on stage. You don't need all the extra. You don't need all of that. Now, there are some applications where it's necessary. It works great. But when you're playing some funk parts, just the funk part alone is all that's required.
You got to have more space in that. You're talking more space in those parts.
Space. Yes, space is and I just learned so much about funk from him. Just him and I would break down sometimes, and he would say, on the one. And on the one means the band has to stop. And it'd just be me and him just doing syncopated rhythms on top of each other. Mm-hmm. If he's doing that, I'm doing this. And that really helped me on my double. Like, if there's anytime there's a second guitar player, I listen and try to find those holes that he's not hitting. So it comes out to be this nice, syncopated, funky thing. And me and Prince used to do that a lot. And the most important thing I learned from working with him is when he set his guitar down, he wanted to hear that funk exactly as if he was still playing. So it didn't require me to mimic him. I mean, not copy his exact style, but it taught me to stay in that same funky lane by taking bits and pieces from what he did, so that when he's out there dancing, it felt like he was still playing. So blessing in disguise, man. Working with Prince I couldn't have had a better opportunity to work with any other guitarist as far as learning about funk. Because if you saw Prince set his guitar down and I'm playing, that means I was doing a good job. Because he would say, Mike Scott, I play guitar. Don't forget. So that would require me. It lit a fire into my ass to try to have to bring it 120% at all times.
That's the best line.
And to study, not study him, but and learn enough that I knew what to give him, so that he'd still be bobbing his head as if he was playing. So it was quite a learning experience working with him.
When you were growing up, what were some of your favorite Prince tracks before you got into the scene up there in Minneapolis? What were the ones that, as a guitar player, you're like, man, this cat has it together?
One of them was "I Want to Be Your Lover." That's like a funk track from Hades.
That's a great guitar track.
He's on that telly funk, and it's just it's really funky. Just did that song with Homer Odell from Mint Condition over the weekend, and it's 2 really funky guitar parts on the record, and we try to rip the tail out of that.
That one always blows my mind, how young he is when he created that. Like, I can't get over that he was just a kid when he recorded that stuff, and it's like, it's unbelievably, like, it's like fully matured, total vision there, right? And his playing is top level.
Prince's funk rhythm playing was like nobody else's on the planet, and I tried to, like a sponge, absorb as much of it as I could without being a carbon copy, but adding my own style to his style to come up with something that was funky enough to stand on the stage with him, and if he put his guitar down, that it stayed funky enough that he didn't feel the need to have to pick his guitar back up. Yeah, because I wanted, he wanted it funky, and that was my job, keep it funky.
Would he ever like in a rehearsal something show you a guitar part or show
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like if he wanted a certain, if he was already playing something and he wanted an exact part, he would say, "Mike, play this." And he, I used to do something. First, I would always just play it. Then, after some time went by, he would say, "Mike, play this," and he'd play it, and I'd say, "Okay," and he'd say, "Play it, let me hear it." I say, "No, just count the band in, count it in," and then he'd count it in, and I'd hit it. And I always tell my wife, I said I used to mess him up with that because he'd always, if he told you to play something, he'd want to see if you had it. Then play it back to me and see if you got it. And I always say, just count it in. And then he'd count the band and I'd hit that part, Okay. And I think he appreciated that, and I was just trying to let him know I'm listening.
Yeah.
And I got that. I got it. I don't need it. I don't need to demo it for you. You just played it. You just demoed it. Count it in. I'm gonna play just what you just played. So,
That's
not
good.
trying to be an a-hole, not trying to be cocky. I was just, we were playing funk, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And funk is, I'm stanking right now. I'm so funky.
Now, are there any specific tours or recordings or shows? Like, is there anything that sticks out where you're like, that was the one, that was the best one?
No, because everyone was magical.
Yeah.
I can. Oh, well, there was this one night. Well, they all were magical.
Yeah.
But there was this one time, I wish somebody could find it. His guitar went out at the Purple Rain solo. And, he was like, "Purple Rain, Purple Rain." And he used to go chunk, chunk, chunk to make sure everything's all right. And he went chunk, chunk, chunk. He said, take the solo. And I only want to see you, only want to see you, only want to see you in the Purple Rain. And I had to hit the solo. And that was a moment.
Yeah.
And even after the show, when we were watching it back, he said, "Did you enjoy that solo?" I said, "Yeah." Said, you'll never get to take that solo again. I tried to rip the ass out of it, but his guitar went out right at, and I'm sure whoever the tech was that night got fired. But it went out. His guitar went out right in that chorus before the solo. It happens.
Yeah.
Things happen.
But
all the shows, every show was magical and amazing. And the thing that sets Prince apart from a lot of artists I've worked with in my entire career on that level that he's on, most of them have a set show they do every night. You never knew. We had over 100 songs to pull from, and we had to be prepared. If we were rehearsing with Prince right now, right at this moment, he might show us a song, and he might not play it for the next 6 or 8 months, and he'll call it one night, and you better play it like we just played it 10 minutes ago. So that was the coolest thing about playing with him. It was you just never knew what was going to happen that night. When you got up on the stage, there was somewhat of a set list, but it could change. He would deviate. It was like a water on a table. It would just change direction. And that was part of the excitement of playing with Prince. You had to be prepared for whatever. He'll start a song off 2, 3, 4, and we'll be grooving. And he'll say, "Band 2 on the 1." We had to stop. And he'd say, "Let's do something else." And he'd go in another song. And or he'd stop and talk to the audience. And you just never knew. You just had to be watching him, and you had to be prepared. And if you missed it, if he did that 2 on the 1, 3, 4, and you missed it, you'd get that.
Yeah.
Or he said, if you did miss that, he said, "Hey, don't stop. If you messed up and you played and he's on the 1 and you still chunk it, you just keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah. Don't let him know you messed up."
Yeah, nobody know you messed up. Yeah. So all these things were learning learning so many just great little tips from him.
One tour that sticks out to me was the first time I saw Prince was that summer 04 tour that you were on with Blackwell and Rhonda, Candy Dolfer and Maceo was in the band. And it was billed.
Was it Musicology?
It was the tour he said he was going to play all of his hits for the last time, which I didn't believe for a second. He's like, this is going to be the last time we play Purple Rain. And I was like, no, it's not, but we'll go see. And I remember my wife and I, we went and saw, you guys did like 4 or 5 nights in Chicago at the United Center.
Yeah.
And we had floor seats right behind John Blackwell. And I just remember, and it was me and my wife, who's a musician, and 2 of our friends who are also musicians. And when you said, you know, you never know what he's going to do, it was amazing watching the band because it was in the round and y'all were rolling all over the stage, as was he. But nobody took their eye off him.
You can't.
The whole time. Yeah.
Because he will give you a cue and you cannot miss it. He'll throw a cue. He'll say on the 1 when it's on the 1, 2, and 3, and he'll say on the 1. And you just got to stop on the 1. And if anybody missed it, you had hell. Yeah, you'd get that. I must
start doing that in podcasts now. When we do podcasts, when you see this, Nick.
Me and Kirky J, we still do that on stage today. We go, we still do that to the band if somebody it messes up a sound check. You know, we're just doing it as a joke.
So we talked a lot about your live experience. Tell us about in the studio when you got around to, after you've been playing in the band for a while, when did you finally get around to playing on records with him?
Well, that's an interesting question that a couple of other people have asked me. See, that at Paisley Park, Prince had a methodology, for lack of a better word, of he would come up with like, for instance, if we finished rehearsal today at 7, 8 o'clock, he'd say, all right, good night, everybody, see you tomorrow. He might say, Mike, come in Studio A. I'd come in Studio A, wouldn't know what was going on. He wouldn't say a word. The technician would hit play, and he'd be like, what are you hearing? Let's play something on this. And they'd already moved my rig in there and everything. And I'd play, a couple of takes, and then he'd say, okay, thank you, you're done. And then you walk out, and you leave the building. And you don't just hang around on the couch or anything. Once he told you you're done, you're dismissed. So next thing you know, you'd hear that on some album 3 months later or a week later. But you still, it was an unfinished piece of work when you left at 8. But by the next morning, when we came to rehearsal the next day, Prince had been in there all night and he made a completed hit. And the next thing you know, you'd hear it a week or two and be like, oh, that's it. That's the song we did that day. Because it had no clothes on it. When you played your part, it might have just been drums, keys, bass.
Right.
And then when you hear it again, it's got its amazing vocals and horns and everything on it. And you didn't even recognize it. So I played on a few songs with him. And I never knew what they were until they came out. And somebody would say, oh, man, they're looking into the credits. And say, oh, you're playing on this song. And I go, oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I kind of remember that. Because you didn't ask questions. He didn't give you any answers. And there was no explanation of anything.
And he was always recording, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always recording. Night. So it wasn't like he would, like, okay, we're going to make an album, and then we're going to go on tour, and then we're going to make an album. He was just, any free moment he had, he was hanging out in Paisley recording.
At the last run I was with him, or even before that, we would just be in rehearsal, and he'd be like, oh, let's try this. And he'd start a groove, and we'd all be grooving. And next thing, we didn't even realize he was recording this stuff. It was just ideas he had, and it would be a completed song the next day. Then we didn't even know. We didn't talk about it. He just, I'm sure a lot of people in the camp had more knowledge than I did. But if I came in to lay a track, as soon as I was done, I was gone. I didn't know.
Yeah.
There was that one that him and I did together. the greatest romance that's ever been told. I played. He had me come in. He said, "Mike, just play whatever you want." And so I laid a whole idea down, did a whole song, 2 or 3 takes, and then when he came in, him and I fixed it. You know, instead of doing that, do this. Oh, that's great. Keep that. Try that octave up. Try that an octave lower. You know, what else you got besides that? And that's how we came up with that song, because it's a great guitar part on that song. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but me and Prince created that part together. He didn't play a note on that song, but I feel like he did, because he let me do what I wanted to do, and then he had me add or take away what he wanted to add and take away. And then we ended up with this beautiful guitar part on this song.
Did he work fast? It sounds like he worked very fast.
Yeah, he was quite fast.
Yeah, like you said, he's, you know, do this, do that, you know. I'm sure you're probably exaggerating a little bit, but it probably felt like he knew when he brought you in to play something, he kind of knew a sound he had in mind, but he wanted you to kind of start it off where your creativity is coming from.
Yeah. Like on the song 18 and Over, a friend of mine told me I played on that. And I guess it was just a groove. And he said he wanted me to play down, 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 down. And that's what I played through the whole song, through the whole entire groove. But I put this little back scratch on it, and that ended up being the guitar part. But The Greatest Romance was the first time he let me just do whatever I wanted to do. And like I said, sometimes we would just record as a band. The rhythm section would be there. And we wouldn't know what it was. He'd be like, everybody play, play these chords. C, A, D minor, G11. And we'd do it over, do like 3 minutes of it. And thank you, you're done. And it'd be this amazing song the next day. So you just didn't ask questions, and he didn't give you any answers.
And I gotta imagine there's probably a ton of stuff you recorded that's still in the vault that nobody's ever heard.
It's probably a ton. Like if you said, "What was that we just recorded?" You probably will start a fight. What song is this gonna be, Prince?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it. It's above your pay grade.
What was? Did he ever talk about gear? Like, oh, I like this pedal, or I like this guitar, or I like setting up my amp this way, or...
Well, no, we never talked about gear. But my wife, Rachel Scott, she was a producer at MTV, and Prince ended up hiring her to do a multi-camera shoot of the band. When he was doing Third Eye Girl and he was doing MPG. MPG, we had to leave the room when Third Eye Girl rehearsed, and she told me that he would be playing through my amp. I even walked in once and caught him playing through my gear, and he got really upset. He's like, "Oh, Mike, you're not supposed to be in here." And he was playing through my I was playing Hughes and Kettner. I still play Hughes and Kettner, but he was playing through my amp in my rig that day. We never talked. He would have me check his guitar for sound check sometimes, and he used to always say, you step on my pedals like you're killing cockroaches or something." Why do you step on my pedals so hard? Like, that's what they're for. They're stomp. Yeah. They call them stomp boxes for a reason, And but we never talked shop. But when she told me that he was playing through my rig, I knew. I mean, at night, the whole band's gear sitting there. Yeah. I'm sure he was trying out. I would have. Sure. If I lived at Paisley and he didn't live there, I would go try his rig out at night. I would try it out.
I mean, he's a guitar player. It's part of your DNA.
Just to see what pedals he had.
Yeah.
Just especially if you got a good sound. I want to see how you're getting this good sound. But I walked in that evening, and they were rehearsing behind a curtain, and I came in to say hi to my wife or something, and he was playing through my amp, so I didn't say anything. Oh, but here's a funny story. Yeah, he told me he locked us out. After I came in, he locked us out because he didn't want me to know he's playing through my gear. Here's a funny story. We were playing in London back in the 90s, and me and Prince were using rack. We had racks. I had an Eventide processor. We were using Leslie's, Mesa Boogie Leslie's. He had like a 3-space rack with that he had that one rig with the automatic faders. The faders would all move. They would actually turn. That rig sounded so good. Anyway, it went up in flames one day because his tech was trying to get the ground buzz out. And he was, the security was like, the man's pulling up. He had to walk up several flights of stairs to the top floor where we were performing. And they were like, hold him. Because his rig had just went up. And we didn't have time. When Prince walks in the room, he don't want to hear no excuses. He goes straight to the stage. So they were like, oh man, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I said, plug him into my amp. Because he only played on the first song. And then that'll give you time to set up another amp for him. They're like, oh, that's Jinx. They plugged him in. We started the first song because he's coming up the steps, y'all. He's coming up the steps. And they were freaking out. And they plugged him into my rig. We started the first song. We're grooving. He comes over and said, my guitar sounds amazing tonight, doesn't it? And he sashayed on the way. And he never knew. He went to his grave never knowing that he was playing through my rig. How about he came over? My guitar sounds amazing tonight. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So were you just faking it? You weren't plugged into anything?
I was plugged into a Fender Twin or something.
Oh, okay. There was a backup.
Something up, yeah. And they didn't have time. Takumi was his tech at that time. I don't know if y'all know Takumi. Takumi's one of the most amazing techs in the world. He's of the top 5 techs in the world. Takumi is probably at the first of that list. So Takumi, getting back to your question, Takumi would check when we were doing that tour you spoke of. The amps were under the stage. Takumi would change his amps. He had him playing a Heartbreaker. He could get a Fender Twin, dial it in. Prince would never blink an eye because Takumi knew how to get the sound that Prince liked through his pedals and any amp. Takumi was changing his amps, and Prince had no idea. He would always tell me or show me, oh man, I'm letting them try these today. I'm letting them try this amp's crap. Oh, this amp sounds great. This amp. And Prince never knew because he just needed to get that lead tone that he loved. He needed to have that shimmering, mirror clean funk tone. And Takumi could get that on any amp. So he would change his mess under the stage unbeknownst to Prince. He was trying, he had him on those Mesa Boogie Heartbreakers for a while. Those things were breathing fire. He tried a bunch of different amps. But like I said, he could put a twin down there and get Prince the sound, get that $1 million sound that Prince loves. So, but him and I never sat down and talked shop, because he kind of was particular about his sound, his tone, and his secrets. He used to have the rack units in the back, and he stopped using all of that. I don't think, be honest with you, I don't think he messed with his gear a lot. And the reason I'm going to say that is because back in the 90s, he had this other amazing tech named Franklin. God rest his soul. He fired Franklin one day. And we got to rehearsal, and we're all waiting. Rehearsal started. Prince is back there in front of his racks, and he's pressing buttons. About 10, 15 minutes go by, and he finally says, does anybody know how to turn this on? Because he had no idea how to even turn his rig on, because it was a very complicated rig.
Right.
And all his techs had to do is set. All he got to do is come in and play. You never really, you look through a million videos. You never really see Prince reach down to dial in anything. His rig is dialed in, and he wants to pick up his guitar, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
If he's got to reach down and dial something in, somebody's going to get fired. Because his rig sounds like $1 million when he picks up his guitar. So when he fired Franklin, he didn't even know how to turn his rig on. So go back to answer your question again, I don't think he was that technical. I don't think he would sit around and try pedals out. But great techs like Takumi would put a pedal in that he knew he would love.
Yeah.
So if you changed out his main lead pedal, I know he used to use that blues pedal.
Like a blues driver?
Like a blues driver?
He used to use a blues driver.
Yeah.
I think he may have had a tube screamer. Don't quote me on that. But I know he loved that blues driver. And if Takumi tried a new pedal, he knew Prince would love it. He wouldn't just like try this out, you know. He would just he knew Takumi knew how to get Prince's sound at all times. Any tech, he had a lot of techs, and some of them were really good. And you had to be, because you're working for one of the greatest guitarists in the world.
He wouldn't give the techs one of these.
No. If a tech messed up, it was that.
Done.
There's no second chances.
Yeah.
No second chances.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the stories. These are great.
Yes, these are incredible. Tell us what's going on with you now. Where can people go and check out what you're doing? You said you just played some gigs.
As I tell people, I'm a gun for hire, which is sometimes can be misread. But I'm a gun for hire, and I'm freelancing right now. Thank God my wife has me riding in the retirement lane now. I mean, I'm not retired from music business. I'm retired from the rat race. Mm-hmm. So I'm not chasing gigs anymore, but I do work with 20 different bands. And my schedule is pretty full, but I'll still take work. And about to go on a tour in November, December with a very famous Italian artist named Georgia. And Sonny T is playing bass with her. I think Sonny is the MD, actually. And I still do stuff with Paul Peterson in the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars. Still do stuff with Michael Bland. Guitarist Mike Scott on Instagram. And as I said, I am a gun for hire. A lot of people tell me, they always say, man, I was going to call you, but I don't think we can afford you. Don't ever think that. I just enjoy playing now. Money is important. But I always tell people, if you paying, I'm playing. If you're not paying, I ain't playing.
That's right. That's right. Unless you're that one drummer who called you, who bailed on a gig. He might not be calling you for any more gigs.
Me and Bobby, thank God we broke bread. We're still friends. But
good.
Yeah, I'm playing with a lot of bands and playing with a bunch of bands here in the Atlanta area. Just whatever, freelancing, just keeping it moving.
Dig it.
Awesome, man.
And
right.
I was with Timberlake for like 18 years. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that last tour with him.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks again, Mike. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much,
guys.
Mike.
Appreciate it.
All right, so that was our talk with Mike Scott. That has to be one of the more fun interviews we've done for this podcast.
I spend more of my time laughing than talking.
Story. We talked about Good Morning America, sneaking into rehearsals, a little of this, like I said. And those are real finds. Finds. And the
I'm gonna pull up some Prince concerts on YouTube and start looking for that.
I'm gonna start. And now I know what to look for when Prince stops playing guitar.
Yeah.
He's digging what he's hearing.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Thanks again to Mike for joining us on today's episode. And also special thanks to EMG for supporting 100 Guitarists podcast. Head on over to emgpickups.com. Use the code EMG100 and save you a little money on those next set of pickups you need.
And when you want to reach out, hit us up at 100 Guitarists at premierguitar.com. And you can hit our voicemail and text line at 319-423-9734. Wherever you're checking out this podcast, we do ask you rate and review. Give us a thumbs up if you're over on the YouTube page, and subscribe. All that stuff helps us keep this going.
There we go.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.